So, day 38, at least my calculation makes it 38 days now that we've been in this lockdown situation. I wonder how you're coping with it, how you're getting by. I've been quite encouraged when I've heard stories of our church family sort of helping one another and looking out for one another, whether it's shopping for people who are self-isolating, whether it's just checking in with people. The fact that the life groups are meeting over Zoom, which I realise isn't great, but does at least mean that we're able to meet and catch up with people and be praying for people and just aware of people's needs. And so I from what I hear, I think you're doing a great job, or we're doing a great job. So well done, thank you. But I hope we're not always going to be in lockdown. And I've started to think, what are our lives going to look like after lockdown? What's it going to be like for kids at schools? Um, are they going to be socially distancing? Are they going to be um, going some in the morning, some in the afternoons, or some going one week and some going the next week? What will it look like if we work in an office? How close are our desks to one another? What about the facilities that we share, the kitchens? What about just our regular friendships, and how we socialize? Can we go down the pub together? Can we, sit at a bar and have a drink together? And can we go out for meals with our family? Can we go to sporting events? What concerts are we going to be allowed to go back to the cinema? When will we be able to do this? What's it going to look like? How are we going to greet one another when we are able to see each other? Are we going to be doing that funny football greeting that we had just before we went into lockdown? Are we feeling excited about that, or are we feeling nervous? What will church look like after the lockdown? What restrictions will there be on gatherings of people? What's it going to be like for us meeting together at the source, where we were already quite squashed in, and certainly trying to keep 2 meters away is going to be absolutely impossible. Will we be able to sing when we meet together? I read something that just suggested that when you sing, you expel so much more at a greater distance as well, that it's actually could be considered to be quite a risk. So I don't know. Will we need to meet as smaller groups? Where will we need to meet? When we meet, will we all be wearing masks? Will we be able to hug each other? I don't know the answer to that. None of us do at the moment. But I'm looking forward to, and I'm starting to think about what things will look like after the lockdown. And last week, the leadership team had a meeting on Zoom, and we were encouraged to think of what opportunities God may bring to us as a church that we need to respond to. And we were encouraged to think about this. And I'd like all of us to be thinking about this, because it's us who are the church. It's you and me. It's us that have the light of Christ burning inside of us. It's us that have his love and his peace and his joy inside us and available to flow out of us. You and me, are the vessels of his grace, and we need to demonstrate his grace to others. We are the church. And how will we be different post-lockdown? When I look at Jesus, I see someone who met people's needs, someone who cared when people were hungry, someone who had compassion when they were sick, someone who stood up against injustice when it was going on around him, someone who hurt when other people were hurting. I see someone who drew alongside, who talked with rather than talking at, who challenged, but challenged with great compassion. who understood us and our frailties and didn't expect us to be some superhuman superheroes living life to the full every day. I see someone who wanted to spend time with us, to get to know us, to walk alongside us, to help us become all that we can be. In Jesus, I see someone who I want to be like. I want to be someone who is encouraging people into the kingdom, who is making a way for people to meet God and understand him, who isn't judging them, but instead is just demonstrating love and acceptance for them in the same way that God loves and accepts me. I want to be someone who cares when I see someone hungry, who feels compassion deeply when I see someone sick, who stands up for someone when they're suffering injustice, who feels the hurt of others. I want to be someone who walks alongside others, who talks with others about God rather than talking at them, who introduces people to the Jesus who I know and encourages them to become his friend. Post-lockdown, I want to be more aware of others around me, more attuned to those that God puts in my everyday. I want to have time to discuss the important stuff, the stuff that really matters. I want to stand up for what counts and not be afraid of being vulnerable by doing that. I don't want to go back to how things were. I want to look ahead and see God's hand at work in everything and everyone around me. And I want to walk alongside him as he builds his kingdom in this country, in this town of Buxton, in my neighbourhood, in my family, and in my heart. What about you? What does post-lockdown look like for you? Have you begun to think about that and think about what changes there may be to your life? What opportunities there may be to be more Christ-like to others and so help to build his kingdom in your life, in your relationships, in your workplaces, in your schools, just seeing God's opportunities. What's it going to be like?